Welcome to the Legacy Intention video. This is with Dr. Ulwyn, someone who I have met over the years. We have interacted on many occasions around many topics. And she has a great legacy intention story that is continuing to unfold for her. And thus, by this video, I'm getting an opportunity for you to listen in and just get a sense of who she is and what she's up to. Now, as all the videos that you're watching in the Legacy Intention course, I asked the person to give their first and last name and a little bit about what they're up to. This is no different, so here we go. So, Dr. Ulwyn, if you'd like to just share your first and last name and a little bit about what you're up to.
My name is Dr. Ulwyn. I'm originally from Trinidad and I live in Chicago. What I'm up to? At the moment, I'm up to working with high achievers who are executives, senior leaders, and top-level influencers. And I'm really helping them to navigate the challenges personally and professionally that they are confronting on a daily basis so they can thrive no matter what the situation. I have done that for more than 25 years, but now it's even more in demand based on the uncertainty that's taking place in the market, in the workplace, and also the turbulence that's happening. And many people are not accustomed in order to deal with that. And what they are doing, they're working harder, thinking by working harder, they're going to solve the problem. And I come in and I help them to really navigate and see ways in which they could begin to, they are in charge and not the turbulence, not the uncertainty.
And with the Legacy Intention course, those who are listening in, you will understand is that there is a quite a large intention went into Dr. Ulwyn's work, and now it's in a sense leaving a legacy, right? And she's living from the legacy she's decided to leave. I'd like to just pop into the intention because this is important for people. What was it that you intended to have happen, and a little bit of the history? I know you've shared about what you're up to, but just help us understand the intention that went into that.
My intention for my legacy is rooted in my experience in my early years. When I lived in Trinidad, I lived transformation and leadership. I didn't learn it. It was part of my lived experience. It became second nature. And then also I had an experience with my father where people would come to him, they'd be sad. And then a few minutes, well, it's much more than a few minutes, but it seemed like a few minutes to me because I was 7 years old. And they'd come in sad. And then when they leave, they'd be laughing. And I didn't know what was going on. And me being the nosy little girl, I kept on monitoring when people came in what happened. And I convinced myself that my father did magic. And I was going to do that magic in the world because now I had a clear destination point that really enveloped my soul. And that guided me. But what we also reinforced it is that we were going through transformation in the country from colonialism to independence, but our prime minister took us to freedom. That's where freedom was planted. He explained to us our responsibility as global citizens. He explained to us that to be educated is to be free. And he taught us how to live it full out from his example. And I got hooked. And as a result of that, what I realized, or what I felt, because at 7-year-old is not realizing, what I felt was that, wow, a human being could do anything. They could solve anything, they could be anything, and I'm going to be that person. And what I did is that I kept on taking on projects or situations, find myself in situations where people say it was impossible. And I will go ahead and I would assist, and we will solve the problem. And it reinforced that I too had that talent. So that's where it was formed. And I just kept on having lived experiences that strengthened it and strengthened it. Lived experience living in Canada, going to school, then going to New York at Columbia, and then working for 25 years in the private arena globally with leaders from around the world and having them rock it. And it was an enjoyable experience. And I felt if I could do that for leaders, then I could help the world. And therefore, what I have done is that I expanded my reach, and now I'm launching a global movement so we could all have that experience and live our best life now, because that's what we were born to do, to live our best life.
So I think the key here is, for those who are listening in, is that there's an intention here that started as a 7-year-old. And if you think about your own life, maybe there was something that you experienced back then, or maybe when you were 17 or when you were 27, or there is this sense of a fiber, thread, string kind of rope that is in your life. And if you pick up on that, you might find your legacy intention. And that's why I wanted you to meet Dr. Ulwyn, because that is such a rich, rich story. And she has deepened it now with the notion of the legacy that she's living from. And she mentioned a little bit there, but I'd like you to just share a bit more. It's the concept of the movement is you have set in motion a movement, and that is a very strong legacy story. Can you just expand a little bit more on that for us?
Life is a series of journeys, and supposedly it's to move you forward. Many times that doesn't happen to many people. And therefore, what I wanted to do in setting the movement, I did not want it to be static. I want it to be an empowering journey where people know they're moving forward and they're making their life count. So that when you think about legacy, you think about movement, living it now, and then leaving an enduring legacy for generations to come. I believe they say the soul is eternal, but I believe that we are eternal. And when we live our legacy, live and leave a legacy, we keep on being present, even though we are not here, in the hearts and minds of people. And they are following our lessons, our practices. That keeps us relevant and alive. And I find that for me, what a wonderful thing to happen. What a wonderful intention. Because what happens, you're not looking for anyone to motivate you. You motivate yourself. Because it is something that allows you to be bigger than you, to be larger than life. And that's what motivates me.
Yes. And I would think that the legacy intention words, which those of you, again, who are listening in, you'll know it's in the next module. It would be freedom, embracing
true freedom,
true freedom,
true
okay.
freedom, unstoppable, limitless.
And the other one, you have created a legacy intention word, which is?
Eunomics.
Right. And what's that about?
It is based on human economics. What happened is that I was very frustrated. I had a lot of schooling. I was very frustrated because I felt they were just like we were taught in chunks. There was the economics, there was the geography, there was the history and all that. But how do these things meld together? How do these, to create something that we could create that's unique? And I wanted that to happen. I wanted to make sure when I was learning, is the whole of me learning. When I'm teaching, is the whole of me teaching, the whole of each individual so that they could get faster to being their best self. And therefore, I wanted to create something from birth to death, because that's being human. That's, we are here, right? And therefore, I created something called human economics. And what was very interesting, I was at a conference, at a business economic conference. And all through the conference, they talk about economics and business. And I thought, kept on looking at the sign saying business economics. And I said, well, where's the human being? And that's how human economics came into form. And I took from the human, I took HU, and from economics, I took nomics, and I formed hunomics, empowering the human being so that they could be their best self and have economic impact, because we live in the world.
Yeah, and that's great. And some of you may create a word. I know I did. I created my word from the whole, and you'll get to know about that as you listen in. But I really would like to emphasize is that the videos below this introductory video with Dr. Ulwyn explains more about hunomics. And again, if you pop into it, you might pick up something from a legacy intention point of view that speaks to you because of hearing Dr. Ulwyn's story. Also, you might find it helpful to reach out to Dr. Ulwyn to have a conversation about legacy intention as it unfolds, and maybe you might be able to help out with her movement. So again, this sharing that we're doing through these introductory videos is just there to get us started. And like any of these videos, Dr. Ulwyn, you get the last word. What would you like to share?
Yes. There are two things I want to share. You had, when we were in one of our power talks, you talked about legacy, and I asked you what it is, and you told me the definition, and I want to share it because it is simple, direct, and profound. You told me that legacy is about the meaningful what's, the time, the effort, the money that you give to others so they could learn something from their lived experience. That made it simple. That made it, I could hold on to that. And it was not complicated with huge words and concepts and all the rest of it. It keeps it simple. And I wanted to share it in our conversation so people hear it. And therefore they better connect to what is legacy? Let me understand what legacy is. So for me, that was important for me to share that.
Great. Was there a second point? You mentioned a second point.
Yes, another point is that I know Gandhi said, you are the change you want to see in the world. I have made some adjustments. For me, it's you are the change that you want to see in you first, and then in the world. You know, they talked about leadership and about leading others, but you have to first be able to lead yourself. So when you talk about being the change, be the change in you, be that best you. So you could take that best you and peddle it and have a significant and empowering impact consistently.
Wonderful, thank you. Those who are listening in, I think you can see this wonderful, wonderful human being that is here before you, Dr. Ulwyn, and I would encourage you to get to know her. There is something amazing about what she's up to. So with that, thank you, Dr. Ulwyn, and we're going to close off this video and encourage you who are listening in to keep going, keep listening to some of the other videos here about legacy and intention and the case examples that are here. So thank you, Dr. Ulwyn.
I want to thank you because every time we meet, we have some interesting discussions and I enjoy that.
Oh, you're more than welcome. So, all right, take care, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.